News Extra. So glad to have you back here. Happy New Year once again. I'm Jason Salas, and we're glad to have you along for the ride tonight. And you picked a good night to tune in because tonight in Financial Solutions, our friends from First Hawaiian Bank will be talking about homegrown leadership. That's going to be a really good segment. Speaking of segments, our environmental piece will be filed by Ken Quintanilla in Think Green for this week. But first, we're going to talk about the Guam Election Commission and the very busy year that they have ahead of them. So to talk about that and many more things going on with that agency is its very capable leader, Miss Maria Pangelinan. Maria, half a day.
Half a day, Jason, and Suzus Masi for having us here.
All right, we are very, very delighted to have you here. We're going to be working so much with you over the next 10, 11, 12 months, like we always do every 2 years and everything. So in short, and as an introduction and everything like that, as the leader of the GEC, how prepared is the GEC going into this year's election?
Well, first and foremost, I must say that I'm new. And so this will be my first election, 2012. But since I've been on board, we've been prepping for 2012. Right now, how prepared is it? We're doing our best to get there, and probably we're documenting our plans as we go along, so we can go back to what we've decided and how we're going to go forward with whatever we do for the 2012 elections.
Now, it would be very easy because, of course, this is not a gubernatorial year because the Calvo administration has 4 years, you know, to sit in Adelup and put their plans forth. But people would call it like a minor election just because we won't be voting for governor. But there are a lot of very important races going on this year. So what exactly are we going to be voting for?
We're going to be voting for non-voting delegate to Congress, the 15 senators, our mayors and our vice mayors, our public auditor is up, and our CCU, some of our seats are up too as well, and then the Guam Education Board. So we'll have Guam Education Board election at large, I think for the first time in a while, because of a new law that was passed in 2010. And so that rounds up our ballots for this coming 2012.
And once again, you know, like even if people would call it a minor election, you guys have your work definitely cut out for you. You
know, from what I'm gathering, you know, it's a little bit more complicated for us inside because of the mayoral elections, right? Each precinct has to have different, or each village or each district, as we call them, will have different mayoral candidates. So those ballots will be different.
So in terms of a number of candidates and a number of races that you have to track being the central point.
That's correct.
Yeah, it gets logistically rather difficult.
That's correct.
What are some of the other challenges that you anticipate facing as we head into the election?
You know, challenges, there's a bunch because it's so, you know, inside of a month we'll have our biggest parties, right? And that's I think how I want to look at it, because we have to have our logistics ready, we have to have our people ready, we have to have our voters, our guests, we have to make sure we accommodate them. That's our voters. So part of I think one thing that we're doing right now is addressing registrars. And when we get registrars, we get more voters registered.
Well, that's a good point, because how much in need are you of registrars and volunteers and people that want to help out and get directly involved with the process in terms of making sure it's a smooth election?
We've jump-started that a bit when Fuetsan Famalawan called us back in June. So back in June, we trained about 20 volunteer registrars. Then this past November, I went to Mayor's Council of Guam and asked them to give me some of their staff. So now, as we speak, people can go to at least a couple of northern, southern, and central mayoral offices to register. So we've jump-started on that.
And that's a rather new thing, and that's, you know, we haven't seen a whole lot of that in years past, where people can actually go out and it's almost like a localized campaign. It puts less pressure on you guys.
Right. In the past, it was district registrars right before the election where we'll put them in place so that they're registering at the mayor's office from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. when people can go there. But now that we've put it out early, we're just watching to see if we will need district registrars. We do plan to put district registrars out there right before the election. Okay.
Now, the hallmark of a successful election is typically measured by the amount of voter turnout that we have. Based on, and again, you said, you know, you're new at this, but certainly you're extremely capable and you have a very, very good staff. We've worked with your people for, you know, more than a decade on the various elections, and, you know, they always do a smashing job. What do you expect the voter turnout, and has your staff and has the agency talked about like how excited people are to get involved with this year's election?
Yes, we have, and probably at this point I can't tell you what our target is as far as voter turnout. But what we're wanting to say is, if we increase voter registration, then we have a better chance of increasing voter turnout. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're going with that.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to be. We're going to have a very exciting election. Senator Frank Blas has already thrown in the hat to, as far as the PDN goes, mm-hmm. and then the mayoral, some mayoral candidates have been coming by to pick up petitions as well. Mm-hmm. So the candidate packets are going to be ready by the end of the month, but petition forms have been picked up by several mayoral candidates already.
Okay. Now one aspect that comes up every single election is getting the youth vote and getting young people involved. And for people that maybe just turned 18 and this will be their very first election, for their edification, how do they get involved?
Thank you very much for asking. In Title III of the Guam Code Annotated, actually, registrars are required to be present at all the public high schools, at GCC, and at UOG. So in the training that we did 2 weeks ago, we had staff from Okadu, we had staff from Southern High, and Simon Sanchez.
Okay.
And so right at the schools will be registrars, so that the young adults can register right there.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we got to go to commercial, but long story short, and I hate to cut you off like this, it's basically it's going to be easier than ever for young people to vote, and we encourage that they do.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Maria, thank you very much, and we'll certainly be seeing much more of you as we head into the year. Look forward to working with you.
Sizus Masi, Jason.
Okay. Thank you, Sizus Masi.
Okay.
And stay tuned, because we will be right back. More show coming up right here on KUAM News Extra. Stay with us.